Welcome to Kick Back with Chris. Kick Back with Chris, the martial arts podcast.
Brought to you by www.mittmaster.com.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Kick Back with Chris, the martial arts podcast. Firstly, I'll start off with a bit of an apology for the late one on this one. It's just been a crazy couple of weeks, really. All positive, though. I've had a last-minute offer to join the production of Tribal, Get Out Alive with Zara Fithian, Tom Stodd and various other people as well. So, yeah, it's been a great experience. I'm actually busy with that at the minute. I've just had a shoot at the weekend on the Sunday, and I'm back again tomorrow for the Wednesday for a day. So it's taken up quite a bit of my time, all for good reasons, obviously. But it's just meaning that I'm not having as much time to sit down and work on the podcast now. Thankfully, I sort of planned ahead, and I've got some interviews sort of stored away, ready to go. So for today's episode, we're actually going to be chatting to Mr. Ivan Rolls about his new projects he's got going called Bullied to Black Belt. I'd actually spotted this one on Facebook about a month or two back, maybe a little bit longer, and I caught up with him briefly at the UK Martial Arts Show. And, you know, I think it's fair to say that bullying is something that's touched us all in different ways, either, you know, with our own previous experiences as kids and as adults, or as martial arts instructors working with kids that we've seen having to deal with bullying themselves. So I thought it was a very, very important subject and something that I wanted to give time to on the episode this week. So what we're actually going to do is jump straight into the interview with Ivan and listen to the messages he's got and the information on his new projects he's got, and then I'll catch you all on the other side.
You're listening to Kick Back with Chris, the martial arts podcast, brought to you by www.onlinekicking.co.uk.
Okay, guys, so joining me now on the phone, well, I say on the phone every week, it's actually on Skype, but we're close enough to the phone. We have on the line Mr. Ivan Rolls. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm great, thank you. How are you?
Great, I'm really good. I was just sharing with him about my little adventure in the car. Maybe in the complete and utter control freak. I've only had the car 2 weeks, and I managed to chip the paint this morning. And anyway, we'll not get into that too much. My OCD. So today we're actually going to be chatting about a really cool is project the right word? Right way to phrase it?
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
That I actually was discussing. Well, I actually spotted it on social media. One of the good things about social media, I spotted this project that Ivan's got going called Bullied to Black Belt, and you know, bullying is something that I think it's fair to say affects all of us, everybody, in one way or another. Whether it's us being bullied ourselves, whether we know somebody that's being bullied, or indeed whether at one point in time we actually were bullies ourselves too. I think it's fair to say, you know, that it's something that does touch us all at one point in our lives at some time or another. So something that I was very, very keen to learn more about, hence this call. So one of the things I am really keen about with this podcast is learning myself at the same time as the audience listening in on as well. So how are you doing, sir? How's things?
Yeah, I'm really good. Just got back from a good training session with the staff, and
all right,
you know, a quick shower and then on to here. So a good day planned ahead of me. So every day's great, enjoying life at the moment. So can't complain.
Fantastic. Now, just for the benefit of listeners that maybe aren't familiar with yourself and your schools, could you tell us a little bit about your background, how you first got involved in the martial arts, and what prompted it?
Yeah, sure. So I started martial arts. I think a lot of people, you know, when you're a kid, you dabble with a few different things. Went through my childhood trying out different bits and pieces. Got into martial arts a lot more seriously when I went to university. Okay. I went to university in Kiel. I did physiotherapy.
All right.
3 years there. So I was at Stoke Thai boxing for a while there. Really got into my training there. And then when I moved up to Liverpool for work for my first job as a physio, I was looking around for martial arts, and by that stage I kind of, you know, started to look at the UFC a little bit, and started to look into cross training, and also I kind of started to get a bit familiar with Jeff Thompson's work as well, and that kind of fascinated me. That kind of, you know, what really works kind of thing. I was at that kind of stage which a lot of us have been through. What really works kind of thing. So I found a club up in Wirral that was called Wirral Adult Self Protection, Street Fighting Strategies.
Okay.
And that was kind of really cool because we used to get to train in a bar. That was
Wow.
So it was all just street fighting stuff in a bar, and it was all really cool, and it was really cool working with the instructor there. But what he found was that it just wouldn't sustain. You'd have like 5 people there, then 8 people there, then 2 people there, and it just wouldn't sustain as a club. I think it was just a little bit too full on at that time. So his background was in Taekwondo before that, and his instructor was Grandmaster Frank Murphy.
Okay. Yeah.
So he kind of morphed his club more into more of a family-orientated club. He was teaching Kaizendo kickboxing at the time, which is kind of like a kickboxing style. And that's kind of like I kind of went with him. I was like, okay, well, let's just see what this is all about. And I kind of really enjoyed it. More families coming into the club, and then we did a lot of competition stuff as well. And then I remember I was away at a competition with him, and he said, you're doing really well in your martial arts. You ever thought about teaching?
Yeah.
And I thought, well, I think a lot of us probably had that conversation with our instructor at one stage, and you kind of think, oh wow, maybe I could.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, yeah, I'll give it a go, because I lived in Liverpool and they were on the Wirral. So I said, well, I'll start in Liverpool and see how it goes. And at the time, he was teaching a bit of anti-bullying stuff, so I kind of took some of that stuff, I put it together into a little seminar, and I started my club with a Bully Buster seminar.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Yeah, it was in a little drama school in Chilwell, Liverpool. And I think like 15 kids showed up to this Bully Buster seminar because I promoted it quite well. And 10 of them at the end of it said, we'd like to come and keep training with you in this little drama hall. And that's where it started from, really.
Wow.
And then within a year of that first day, I'd grown a club to the stage that, look, I don't really need to work as a physio anymore. I didn't like and I thought, well, let's go full time and see what happens. I mean, I love my job as a physio, but I was working in cystic fibrosis.
All right, yes.
If anyone knows about disease, it's the most horrendous disease in the world.
Absolutely.
And my job basically was to go around young people, help them to clear their chests of all the gunk that builds up on them in a cystic fibrosis unit. And I literally 1 year, I think like 12 people that I knew very closely by spending an hour with them every day died in a year. I went to 12 funerals in a year. And I was just like, as much as I love to help, and this is a really good thing that I'm doing and helping with, psychologically, I just couldn't cope with it. I can't do this anymore. It's just, it's destroying me inside. So I was like, look, I need to move on to something else. And I thought, well, my martial arts is doing really well. Why don't I put full-time energy into that and see where it goes? So that's what I did. Put full-time energy into that. Just decided to go full-time. It was difficult to start off with, obviously. Everyone, when they first start, it's a bit of a struggle financially, but you go for it. And from that moment, it's just been great. I just kind of went full-time. I had an amazing, the last 19 years now. Got to train with just some amazing people. I've been all around the world. Been to LA, trained with Guru Dan Inosanto. I've trained to black belt and to Jeff Thompson. I've trained, I've just had an amazing martial arts kind of lifestyle. My club's now grown, so we have 4 full-time venues under myself. I also have 2 franchises in this country, and I have a franchise over in Dubai as well. So yeah, it's just exploded, really.
Enough to keep you busy there, then.
Yeah, that's we've got a lot going on, kind of thing. But I'm lucky. I've managed to build an amazing team around me.
Yeah.
I've always kind of tried to instill in them the same kind of things that were instilled in me in terms of a work ethic and putting the martial arts first all the time. Make sure you're a good martial artist. You're teaching quality martial arts, and then have a good business structure alongside it as well.
Yeah.
My martial arts has funded me to train with Tony Robbins as well. I did his full Master University all over the world, so that's kind of really helped me as a coach.
Sure.
To coach a team as well. So and that's where we're at now. And I live a really nice lifestyle now. I teach 2 nights a week. I teach my black belts and I teach some Krav Maga classes. I teach the instructors once a week. Then I train with them 3 times a week in other stuff. You know, we train BJJ, we train Thai, we train grappling, and they do self-defense stuff with me. So yeah, I lead a pretty nice lifestyle, and I've got a bit of time on my hands, really. And that's where the Bullied to black belt thing comes in, really.
Yeah. I was just about to ask for that. You know, is this so? Is it something that you've had in the background for a while that you've sort of been thinking over, and it's been a case of now's the right time to do it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we've done these like kind of anti-bullying seminars within our own dojos for a long time over the last, you know, like I said, I started with one many years ago. You know, I was bullied when I was a kid, and you know, I know how horrendous it is and what a dark place it can take people into.
Yeah.
And I think so many people are bullied. You know, if you look at the statistics these days about kids, you know, it's like a half of kids are experiencing bullying. You know, and it's horrendous. And you know, I think a lot of parents don't automatically link up martial arts with their kid being bullied. Because I think maybe the public perception of martial arts, especially with the growth of the UFC and some of the characters in that, you know, I just think if you're a mum with a kid who's not got a lot of confidence anyway and is being bullied, and then you see, you know, Conor McGregor throwing bottles at people on telly, you're probably not going to think, well, I want to get my kid into martial arts, because you probably think they're not confident enough to do it.
Yeah.
I think we as martial arts instructors know that how powerful martial arts is for kids that are being bullied. It's like it's the one thing that sorts them out in so many ways, physically, mentally, emotionally. So I was like, you know, well, maybe an anti-bullying seminar is the way to kind of get them in, so then they can then start to learn about bullying and about being more self-confident and standing up for themselves, and then lead them into, well, you know, martial arts probably the best way of doing that. And therefore we can get more kids into martial arts that we know will help them. So yeah, we've been doing it for a long time, very successfully in my own schools. But then I went to a seminar a few months ago, and they kind of like, they were talking about, well, what's your purpose? You know, what's your purpose in life? What's something you could really change the world with? And I was like, wow, you know, this anti-bullying stuff, why isn't everybody doing that? Why as an organisation aren't we kind of helping more people? And by organisation, I mean all us martial artists together that run martial arts clubs in schools. What if we could all just get together and all say as one, martial arts is great for kids who've been bullied, and put that out there in schools and on the internet and everywhere. So then people are starting to think, well, if my child is being bullied, let's try martial arts. And it doesn't matter if it's kickboxing or jiu-jitsu or Uji Bongo or whatever, you know, as long as they're doing something that counteracts that negativity they're getting in school, that's positive. And I just think we can be such a source of positivity in kids' lives. Then that's why I put this project together, really, to help martial arts instructors to be able to put the message out there. Absolutely.
I mean, you know, I think with bullying, as you say, it's always been there in one form or another. But I think nowadays it's heightened with social media, because I remember when I was at school, you know, I was the, you know, musical instrument playing, sci-fi loving, book reading kid growing up in a town in Doncaster, and I didn't like football. So that was it was just a recipe for bullying. But I remember, you know, I went to school and I suffered with it whilst I was at school, and then I went home, and that was my break from it. Nowadays, though, the kids go home and it follows them on their laptop, and it follows them on their phone, and it follows them on it's on social media now as well. You know, so they're getting it from all angles, these kids now, and adults as well. You know, it's not just bullying at school or, you know, out and about, but it's on social media as well, and it's just turned into this horrible sort of multimedia mix, I suppose, of bullying from all angles. And I think it's, as you say, with martial arts, I don't suppose to a certain extent it doesn't really matter which system it is they're doing it. It's for me, when I was a kid, it was knowing that I had that thing to look forward to each week, that community to be involved with and go and train with, and I didn't realize at the time as a youngster what it was actually doing for my self-confidence. I wouldn't be doing this now, this podcast, or standing on stage, or performing. I wouldn't be doing any of those things that I've had the opportunity to do if it wasn't for the martial arts and the very subtle influence it had over many years in developing my self-confidence. So, I suppose to a certain degree that the physical aspects to it were secondary. Because I'd never, other than there was only one kid that got a thump in the face at school. I remember that, but it wasn't like I was having to go around fighting my way out of these situations on a daily basis. It was more the other things, the life lessons and the other elements of the martial arts training that benefited me. So
yeah, that's it. And I think a lot of kids feel very, very bound these days as well. It's like a double bind because they're in school, and if they are getting physically bullied in school, then the school rules are very. They're not allowed to. You're not allowed to hit back.
Yeah.
You hear that all the time. You're not allowed to hit back. Well, I question sometimes, and I think, I wonder how long it'll be before somebody legally challenges that.
Absolutely.
Rule. We all have a human right of self-defense.
Absolutely, yeah.
If you're walking down the street and someone cracks you, then you're allowed to defend yourself, use reasonable force. Yeah. So why isn't a kid?
Yeah, it is a very iffy one. I mean, it's actually quite interesting. I think it was. I'm trying to think where it falls on the timeline for episodes because I'm recording these slightly out of sync. So it will have been 2 episodes ago. I had a conversation with my son. I actually interviewed my son on the podcast just for something a little bit fun for half term, and we actually talked about bullying from a 9-year-old or 10-year-old's perspective. Because it was actually Tom Callis that asked the question of my son, what is bullying? And he was saying how there's 2 different things. This is my son. He was saying how there's words. And there's when they hurt you, when they physically hurt you. And I asked him to sort of explain what he thought about the differences. And it's, as you say, it's interesting that there's obviously the physical and the word side to it as well. And having that coping mechanism, I was talking to him about, what would you do if somebody was trying to hurt you at school? And he was saying, well, I'd tell a teacher. I said, well, would you defend yourself? Would you try and stop them? And he said, oh, well, no, because then we get in trouble. And I thought, oh, here we go. This is a conversation we need to have.
Yeah.
And it is worrying that the schools are putting that idea in their head that it's wrong to protect themselves and their friends. But is that not just a sign of the times, maybe?
I think it's gone very, very soft. I mean, you run a martial arts school.
Yep.
Do you tolerate bullying in your school?
Absolutely not.
No, exactly. I don't tolerate it in any of my schools, and I don't know why schools tolerate it. I think a lot of time that the kids that are being bullied almost get secluded. Well, you need to go somewhere else. No, hang on. They have the freedom. Should have the freedom to go and be educated and have fun in peace and not be bullied. But then there's the other side of it as well. If everything's always fluffy and lovely in your childhood, do you ever develop, any fortitude, any ability to deal with that kind of thing? So I think part of it as well is we know bullying is always going to be there. It's never going to change. And, a little bit of mild bullying in some ways potentially could be a bit of a good thing to as long as kids deal with it appropriately and they learn to stand up for themselves. When it becomes past that point and it's getting somebody to the point they're becoming depressed and all the rest of it, and like you said, they can't get away from it because they go home and it's still there.
Yeah,
that when it becomes a huge problem. And one of the things I've put together in the package for Bullied to Black Belt is a program where we can go into schools and educate the kids of the consequences of bullying. And this kind of idea came because my nephew was in school and they do like kind of a big anti-knife crime thing at the moment, especially across Liverpool. And one of the tactics they used was actually to show the kids, real injuries of people that are being stabbed and the result of it, and the mums crying and stuff like that when the people have been killed. And you're thinking, oh, that's quite strong and impactful, and maybe that's what they need to hear. I think some of the times these kids, I mean, in every school there's going to be a couple of kids who are just nasty, like they're bad parents who aren't going to parent them properly. And if you told them their kid's a bully, they're going to turn around and go, well, great, so what are we going to do about it? They're never going to change. And I don't think we can probably hit them. We can't kind of hit them with the right message. Then it's not going to sink in. But around them, there's going to be a gang of people who are watching it and videoing it and kind of get involved with it a little bit, who are actually not bad kids. They just not got the education to understand about what they're doing and the impact that it can have. And I think that's where we can have the biggest impact is on the social element. And if we put across the kids and say, look, age appropriate, but say, look, this is the consequence or the potential consequence of bullying. We can show them a video of a mum whose kid committed suicide. For teenagers, we can show them an impactful video. There's a really cool video called Dear Diary, which is a girl. It's recorded by this guy. I've got the rights to put it onto Bullied to Black Belt, and it's a girl, and she writes to a diary things that happen to her every day. And then it's a very emotional film because she does end up, committing suicide, and it's very, very, very emotional. And I think that's what they need to hear. They need to know that when you're getting involved with that little chat on Facebook, and you're saying horrible things about this person, that's a human being who's sat there, and those things hurt. They hurt all the time, and they never stop hurting. And as adults, I think a lot of adults still walk around with some of the scars of things that people said when they were kids. So when you're a teenager and you're battling the world anyway, it's very, very hurtful, some of this stuff. And I think we need to get that a message across to them and say, look, this is wrong. What you're doing, it has these tragic consequences. How would you feel if, as a result of it, you were involved with something that happened? Because it does happen. And then flip the message around again and say, look, can't we just celebrate everyone's uniqueness? That's the beautiful thing about this world, isn't it? That everybody's unique and different and have their own ideas and identities and all those kinds of things, and how rubbish the world will be if we're all the same. So I think that's a really good message to go into schools with, because I think they'll resonate with that. If we go in with a message of, look, if someone hits you, hit them back, there's no school in the world that's going to say, yeah, come in, because that's the recipe for fighting in their school, and they don't want that. If we get into schools and say, look, here's the message we're putting across. Bullying is wrong. This is why it's wrong. These are the consequences of it. Let's celebrate each other's uniqueness. Then that gets us in the door. And then those that are being bullied can get to see us, get to meet us, can go home with our leaflet for our martial arts school and go, Mum, I'm being bullied. Can we go to martial arts? And it opens that conversation, and potentially that could really help some kids that are being bullied. It also helps the crowd to not make the wrong decisions. So that's kind of the tack we're taking with schools as well, as part of the package that we do.
Yeah, and it's such a good angle to come at it as well. I mean, I as I say, I've had this conversation with my son just recently. He's getting to that age now. He's 10, and kids are mean. They'll and as you say, it's often a sort of a pack mentality thing as well, isn't it? You have the ringleader, and then you have the group that follow along. And he's had that situation, and I've spoken to him about it and said, look, whatever you enjoy, whatever you're into, whatever your passions are, you go with it and don't change it because of what other people say. But it's hard, because I remember being at school and being into certain things and enjoying certain things and not wanting to sort of outwardly express or discuss it because of what other people were thinking and saying. So it's difficult, isn't it? Because, on one hand, I'm saying these things to him, and then I'm thinking back and going, well, actually, no, I know exactly what he thinks and feels, because I had that as well. So as you say, coming at it from an angle of, explain to the kids that, people are different, and, just try and respect that and understand that, and don't use it as a means to target them. I think that will resonate with the ones that are on sort of like the peripheral, the outer edge of the sort of the ringleaders, so to speak. And I think one thing I do like about today is I think we're in although I don't know if bullying is on the up. I mean, maybe, I don't know if you maybe know that's the statistic. Is it higher now than it was when we were younger? But I think tolerance is higher. I think people are a little bit more open-minded to different things now, which is great. But I don't know. I don't know. Is bullying? Is it higher? The rate's higher now, or is it just that we're tracking this sort of thing more now?
I think we're definitely tracking things more now, and I think it's more omnipresent. Just like advertising, advertising everywhere now, isn't it? It's on your phone, it's in your pocket, it's all everywhere. You can reach people everywhere. You don't need to, finger in a phone now and turn it around 5 times to contact somebody. It literally is. It's in your pocket, and I think with kids these days, that's the problem now, is that it does follow them around. It is absolutely everywhere. So they don't have that opportunity to get away from it. And it's wonderful what you're saying to your son. You're telling him all the right things. And I think it might have been Tom Callis I was listening to a long time ago, and I'm sure he said that. I mean, Tom Callis, as you know, is one of the best kids martial arts instructors I've ever seen. You know, when he works with a group of kids, he's just unbelievable. But I'm sure it might have been one of the old Maya DVDs. I heard him say it that he used to send his kids miles down the road to a different martial arts school to hear it from someone else. Because, you know, I think that's really powerful, that if kids are hearing a message from their parents of being unique and just celebrating who you are, kind of thing, you know, especially as they get a little bit older. Yeah, but you're just saying that because you love me, you know, and you're my dad, you know. But when they hear that same message, you know, when they go to their martial arts school, for instance, whatever activity they go to, and especially if that's like a coach that they really respect and they've got a great bond with, then that's so much more powerful. Because of course, mum and dad are always going to say you're doing well and we love you. You know, that's because we're your mum and dad. That's what we do. But when someone else is saying something great about you and boosting you up, it's really impactful. So I think that's a big thing that we can do in the martial arts industry, is to be that kind of source of positivity for these kids when they come to us that have been bullied with no confidence, is to give them a vehicle, the martial arts, and the encouragement and positivity and challenge and support to overcome those challenges that will build their confidence to be able to stand up for themselves long term. And yet the physical side of it as well, that's obviously important, the physical skills, because obviously the more physically skilled you become, the more easy it is to turn around to a bully and say, do one.
Yeah.
You know, I think if you physically are a bit shy and awkward, and you know that you kind of haven't really got anything to back up what you're saying, then that kind of comes across in your body language as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, you know, having that physical ability is important as well, I think. So that's why I just think martial arts is so wonderful for kids that are being bullied, and why isn't it like prescribed? I'm being bullied. Okay, let's find your local martial arts school. That should be like the first thing on parents' minds. And I think that's maybe what we can do as an industry is the more we get it out there, that, you know, if just 10 martial arts instructors go into schools and start talking about bullying that weren't doing it previously, or 10 martial arts instructors as a result of this project say to all the kids in their school, look, you know, we're going to do a special anti-bullying seminar, bring all your friends. That impact over the course of a year is thousands of kids. You know, and that's if just 10 people do it. You know, if 100 martial arts schools get on board, then it's multiplying it even further. So I just think that we're in an industry where we've got the answer to help these kids. So why not put it out there and tell them about it?
Perfect. Yeah. So I think it's fair to say, and I think this is something that it's hard to know how many to be exact, but there will be instructors out there, martial arts school owners out there, that they will run with the idea that training in martial arts is great for helping with bullying, which is absolutely. But I think it's fair to say that some school owners and some instructors might not necessarily know why or how it helps. How does Bullied to Black Belt, how does it help fill those gaps? Because I know that some instructors, they're fantastic instructors and technically super competent and amazing martial artists, but maybe not that great on a platform when it comes to trying to deliver the message. Is that something that Bullied to Black Belt as a system will help with? Yeah,
so basically, as part of the package, you will get a PowerPoint presentations all done. Now, I'm not a PowerPoint expert, but I had a student who is. So I said, listen, come down and look at my bully in presentation. Come and have a look at it and see if it's something that you think you can professionalize.
Yeah.
Because I was still using flip charts and doing it on a pen on a piece of paper. You know, I'm quite a good speaker. I can speak quite well off stage, but I'm not technical. So yeah, he came down and he watched it and he said, that's brilliant. Yeah, I can turn that into a presentation, recorded it, and he made it into a PowerPoint presentation. It's so professionally done. It's really, really cool. So you literally just have to, you know, get a computer, hook it up to a screen and press a button and just read off what's on the screen and then put your own little take on it. It's all done for you. So there's one to be done in your own dojo. So that's for your own students and, you know, their friends that come down. And obviously that can take a little bit of a stronger kind of stance on bullying, because you're not appeasing teachers at that stage. These are people who are your students, who have bought into what you do, or are coming to your school and thinking, yeah, let's find out about bullying. It's martial arts, so presumably there's going to be kind of some physical aspect to this. So that's for that. Now we don't kind of cover physical technique so much, just some concepts, and then the second part of that presentation goes into your martial arts school and what you can provide for a kid that's being bullied. So we go from here's education about bullying for the kid, and we educate the parents as well about the law on self-defense and what they should do if the kid's being bullied, etc. So we educate to start off with, so we provide value, and then we say, look, you know, one of the best things you can do to prevent your kid being bullied long term is get them into martial arts. And by the way, we are XYZ Dojo, and this is what we do. Let's have a little trial. And then you get them on your mats, you give them a little bit of trial in martial arts. They're using their body in a physical, confident way. And the parents will see that and go, yeah, this is exactly what my kid needs. So it's a great way of getting kids into martial arts, and a great tool for martial arts instructors to get a load of new students as well. And then obviously we also have the presentations that are designed for schools, where you can actually go into a school and talk to an assembly of 200-300 kids at once with your PowerPoint presentation. And again, just press the button and it just guides them through the presentation about bullying. And then we have a really cool anti-bullying pledge, which is what they kind of pledge at the end of the presentation. It's a nice couple little paragraphs. So you can like print off a load of those, A5, and on the back of that, you can put your leaflet. So if you go into a school, you're talking 300, 400, 500 people, how many people you see in that day, goes home with the right message that bullying's wrong. They go home with a pledge to not be a bully and not get involved with bullying, stand up for people that are being bullied. And they go home with information about if they are being bullied or they want to stop themselves being bullied in the future. This is a cool martial arts school you can go to and get involved.
Perfect. I think because a lot of, I mean, I'm, as you say yourself, you know, you're confident in speaking, and I'm confident in speaking, and I'm I'm well versed in blagging from the point of view of, oh, what am I going to say here? Oh, I need to change that. But I know there are a lot of instructors out there that aren't, and I think that they do genuinely want to help and get involved, but are put off by the school environments, because it can be. And I don't know that necessarily many will admit to this, but it can be quite daunting going into, you know, some will happily stand up in front of all of their students, but going into a school environment where not only are you stood in front of all the students, but you've got all the professionals in the room as well. And it's that sort of feeling of, oh, they're all looking at me. What if this and what if that? And so I think, you know, as you say, having it all professionally prepared, it takes the edge off a little bit, doesn't it? Because you've got it there as a backup behind you. You can go through the PDFs, you can go through everything, all the notes, get it all prepared ahead of time. And then when you go in, you're good to go. So, it's a great idea.
Or you can sit on your computer at home and just press the button and practice reading it out loud to yourself kind of thing. So, and that's great, you know, for martial arts instructors that do struggle a little bit with the confidence to go in there. Well, great, jump out your comfort zone and give it a go. You know, most schools are just really happy to have people in these days. Like it's like Fitness Week or something coming up in Liverpool. A number of people who have like going and do PE lessons this week for them. We only got to phone up the school and like, yeah, we'll have you in. So I think they are looking for people to go in and educate the kids. It's just making sure you're going in with the right message, really.
Absolutely. So any school owners or instructors out there that are listening that are interested in getting involved or finding out more, what should they do?
Just jump on the website, bulliedtoblackbelt.com. All the information is on there. Just jump on the website. There's a section there just for instructors. Tells you all about how to get involved, the package that we have for you guys. It's a not-for-profit organisation I've set up. So we do charge £97 for the setup. And basically for that, you get a Bullied Black Belt t-shirt, you get patches for your uniforms, you get a certificate of affiliation as well. And that's all really cool for your dojo when people come in who maybe got a kid that's been bullied, and immediately they'll know they're in the right place. So you'll find that's really good for that. And then you get your USB stick that's got all the presentations on there, all done for you. So it's a done for you kind of system. We list you on our website as well. So anyone that goes to to bullet to black belt will automatically be guided into, get involved with martial arts, and here's some schools, and you'll be listed on there with all your contact details as well. Because the front of the bullet to black belt website is for parents and kids. So on there is actually a presentation of me talking about bullying, which gives them some of the basics. So anyone that is being bullied can go on there, they can watch the presentation with their kids. There's information for parents and kids, and it guides them into the fact, again, best thing to do to defeat bullying is to build your confidence. Best activity for that is martial arts. Jump on our list of martial arts schools and find your local school. So we do that, and it's just $14.99 a month, so it's peanuts each month. And then you're listed on the school. You get all the updates as they come through. And like I said, all that money just goes back into the not-for-profit. And plans for that is, for instance, if we have a school in your or a martial arts school that opens up or it registers in an area, we will then kind of plug some Facebook advertising about bullying into that area as well. So we'll actually kind of promote anti-bullying in that area for you. So yeah, it should work really well. More schools to get on board, the bigger it'll become. I've just sent it over to Dave Cover in America as well, just to say, this is what we're doing. What do you think of it? See if he's interested in maybe getting it going over there. Eric Paulson's kind of jumping on board with it. So yeah, the more it'll grow, the more of impact that we can have, really.
Fantastic. Well, it's good to hear. I mean, it's nice that somebody's sort of getting it packaged up and all together for people to jump on with. As I said earlier on, I think there's a lot of us out there that do sort of promote the anti-bullying aspects of martial arts and the benefits that it can have, but we do sometimes struggle with the, how do we present this in a professional environment? And obviously this is what, you've created and are helping with. So good stuff. Well, I wish you every success with it. And it's something that I'm looking at myself as well for my school. So I'll be in touch at some point, and we can hopefully get that going and get the benefits out to the kids in my area too.
Fantastic. And thank you very much for having me on and supporting this project. I really appreciate it.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you.
Enjoy our podcast? Please remember to subscribe, rate and review Kickback with Chris on iTunes today.
So I'm sure you would agree with me that's a really important project and something that I'm hoping that a lot of schools can get involved with at various different levels. I'm having spoken to Ivan myself away from the podcast. I know he's open to discussing with instructors ways and options to promote the project and get word out there. So if that's something that you can help with as well, then by all means do get in touch with him, and I'm sure I'd be happy to hear from you. So other things that we've got going on. So the next episode, I'm sure some of you have already spotted the bits on Facebook. I'm going to be doing a special episode discussing your favourite martial arts action stars and your favourite fight scenes from movies as well. This is, as I've discussed on previous episodes, what got me into martial arts initially was, the movies back in the 80s, like The Karate Kid, and then later on with the Ninja Turtles and things like that. So, that was, martial arts movies were what caught my attention initially with regards to martial arts training. So, and it's played a big part in my life, and obviously now it's come full circle. I'm actually, as I said at the beginning of the episode, I'm busy working away on a movie at the minute, and I've had the opportunity, luckily, to work on others in the past as well. So, I thought it'd be nice to tie all that in. So, if you have your own favourite martial arts movie star or favourite scene, or so I should say and/or really, because you can do both. What I want to do is to collect as many audio recordings via our website as possible. So if you go to kickbackpodcast.com or martialartspodcast.co.uk, whichever you fancy, there is, now if you're on mobile, if you scroll down the page to the bottom, there's an orange button with a link to something called SpeakPipe. If you press that button, what it'll do is create a recording straight from your device that the website will then email direct to my inbox. Now, the really cool thing about this, as I mentioned before in the past, is you can do as many recordings as you like to get it right. Now, you don't need to overly worry about it being perfect, because if there's any obvious mistakes in there, I'll edit them out for you. But at the same time, they don't have to be perfect, polished recordings. You know, sometimes the rougher they are, the better. So if you want to get involved, if you want to share with me and with the listeners your favourite martial arts movie star, or your favourite fight scene, and you know, both if you want, I would really appreciate it, because the more we get, the better it is, the better the show is, the more content we have to work with. And you're not just having to listen to me rattle on about Jackie Chan for 40 minutes. So, you know, get them sending in. We've already had some people send some really cool ones in, so thank you to you guys that have done that so far. And we've also had some people pledge to send them in as well, so I'm going to be hassling you on Facebook like crazy to get that done. But, you know, if you can get something sent in as quick as possible, I would really like to do this for the next episode. So time is of the essence. There'll be no, just a quick one as well, there'll be no Matt chat this week, so if you're waiting for that to happen, it's not going to happen. Matt's actually away at the minute. And, you know, obviously with me being away working, we just find it difficult to sort of match times up to get a recording, but that will all be back to normal next week after the half-term break. So, as I say, a slightly shorter episode this week, but nevertheless, great content, as always, I like to think. And I will catch up with you all next episode. For we're into the 40s now, which is crazy. And a quick one as well. Just a little plug for myself here. If you're an instructor out there, or indeed a parent, or somebody just looking for content to help teaching kids, I'm actually at the minute developing, or by the time this audio recording goes out, it might even have been finished and launched. I'm working on a curriculum pack to teach, well, not to teach, but to give instructors and parents new ideas on how to teach kicking to kids. Obviously, as you all know, I've had my own online course going for some years now with the help of Matthew Chapman, with the onlinekicking.co.uk, which has been, you know, really successful, which I'm really thankful to everybody for their support for. But I've had some people saying, you know, can you do some things for kids, you know, some ideas for instructors to help teach the kicks, because, you know, teaching kicking, it can be quite difficult. And, you know, what I've tried to do is develop a pack of kicking drills to help disguise the repetition of you know, having to train at a repetitive level to get the kids up to the standard that you're going to want them at, because that's what it needs. And we all know the battle in this day and age of trying to disguise that repetition, it can be particularly difficult. So if you're interested in that, go check it out at onlinekicking.co.uk, or indeed on the Facebook groups, and you'll be able to find all the details there. I hope you have a great rest of your day, rest of your week, whatever it is you're doing, and I will catch up with you all very soon.
Brought to you by www.mittmaster.com.